All right, excited to do another clinic here as the kind of summer seasons come to an end for a lot of OSFL coaches, and the high school season's coming right up around the corner. And excited to have Coach Matt Snyder on again. I think it's your third time, right, Coach? Been super supportive of what we've done on here. I think I had you on for the running backs episode with a couple other guys, and then you also did a really what I would say is one of my favorite ones that we've done as a run game guy. The backside zone. I think inverted veers is what we had
I'm
on
trying
there.
to be the Alec Baldwin of this show. Be like the
There you
first
go.
one.
Well,
Yes.
I
So
uh, I try not to ask guys too many times, but I also want the really good guys to be on here. So thanks again for doing this. For those of you who don't know, Coach Snyder's coached at basically every level of London football at this point. In today's presentation, I know you got some stuff as the head coach of the JV Junior Mustangs last summer, 2022 OSFL champion London Junior Mustangs. And as well the head coach of the Beefeaters. So not much off time for you in the last couple of months. So thanks for making the time to do this, Matt.
yeah, football in July was pretty busy for me. No, it was a great summer. We had a good year. Obviously, like when you win a championship, you probably have great kids. We had amazing kids, great coaching staff, and a lot of luck along the way, and kind of hit some good spots. And then we were lucky enough to win a summer championship. Hard league to win. Like I couldn't believe how much harder it was to win this summer than previous years. It's a great league. I think there's a lot of bright future in front of this summer football league. I like the way it's formatted. And now we're doing the Beefeaters. Just finished our third game, 3-0, going in there, two tough games, and talk a little bit about a play that I really like. I know you really like it as well, and I think it's a good play, a play that I don't think a lot of people really run. And I think the people that do run it fall in love with it, and hopefully people will watch this video and maybe find a couple things that they can do. I think it's a play that you can kind of fit in your offense no matter what type of offensive sets you're running or what your philosophy is. This is a play you can run. And we ran it a ton when I was at Western. It's a big part of what they do, and good little football play. So we'll talk today. It's called the power. We call it power G. I know you call it power switch. I've called it everything you can call it. We've called it power switch, power G. Western, they call it like a kick concept. So at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. We'll talk about it. So make sure I can show my screen. I spent this last summer coaching the JV U17 Junior Mustangs. We were 10-0 in the field. Finished the season 10-1. We had a forfeit game. We're a two-back offense, pretty basic two-back gap scheme offense. We kind of describe our offense to the kids as the same as offense. So we want to find as many ways that we can run things that is the same as something else. So we just basically just recycle concepts over and over and over again. And I think it's easy when you do that to coach because you don't have to teach a bunch of skills. It was a fun season for us, but also kind of a sad season for us. We lost a good friend of mine. 3/4 of the way through the year, our president and our varsity head coach passed away suddenly. So it's tough. We had some obstacles, but at the end of the day, we had great kids, great coaching staff, and we were fortunate enough to beat a real strong Essex team in the finals and win the AAA U17 championship. And now I've just taken over as the London Beefeaters head coach. Just finished our third game on Sunday. We won against GTA, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about Power G. I know everyone's here to talk about football, but we believe that we're the destination football team for junior football in Ontario. We're a junior football, and what junior football is it's post-secondary football for players 17 to 22 after high school. You can play a national level football after high school while attending community college, working, going to university in London. We have players that are at Fanshawe. We have players that are at Western, King's University College. We have guys that work. We have a job placement program where we can guarantee you a job in London if you move into London. We have housing arrangements, a team physio partnership, doctors, dentists, mechanics, all the stuff that players at that age, that kind of 18 to 22-year-old age when they're finishing high school, all the things that they need where they can just focus on football. The last three seasons, we've had last two seasons, we've had three players invited to the CJFL Regional Combine. One of the guys is playing for the Bombers right now. We have a guy that's at St. Mary's that went to the Combine, and now a player back for us. So we're sending guys to pros, and we're developing our guys and a place you can get exposure if you're looking to play football after high school, but university is not your route. We got 7 coaches on our staff with youth sports experience. So we got guys that have played at the level, that know what it takes. We got an official partnership with Under Armour. They're our official uniform supplier. The 2-time defending Ontario champions. We're a proud program. We take a lot of pride in what we do. I think sometimes there's misconceptions about what junior football really is. Just speaking for ourselves, it's a serious place to play. This isn't a joke. It's not beer league. This is serious high-level football. We're trying to create something special. So if you're watching this and you're a high school player and you're graduating the next year or two and you want to keep playing, message me on Instagram. We want you. Here's our contact information. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. We stream all our games. You can contact me on Instagram at Coach Matt Snyder. Send me a DM. We'll talk. I'm pretty active on social media. And I want to talk to you. If you have any interest, let me tell you about our program. Give me 5 minutes of your time and I'll tell you what we got. Okay, we're going to talk about Power G.
I was just going to say, Coach, I mean, I think it's one of those things like coaching summer ball, you know, which I know you've done it at different levels. And I did the senior program. Like there's so many guys that want to keep playing football.
Yeah.
And there's so many guys where university is not the right choice for them. Like it's not even just like, oh, you know, they maybe they didn't get the grades that they wanted. There's a lot of guys that, you know, they want to go into a field and university is not the pathway to that field. And guys that are serious football players. I mean, I know a couple guys that I've coached against, who, you know, growing up, a lot of the guys that may have played London Junior Mustangs that are now, you know, playing for your team, Tazi Van Bell being one stands out. Like, you know, you're at that junior level, you know, like you said, it's not guys that, oh, you know, couldn't make it in university. It's not that. It's guys that, you know, could have had university careers should that have been the path they wanted to try and pursue.
There's absolutely guys on our roster that would be playing at Western if they had chosen to go to university and that was their track. Like we got a kid playing guard for us that was, I'll be honest, I think he's a starter at a university level anywhere he goes. You can't tell me that kid's any different than anybody I've ever seen at university. University isn't his thing in terms of education. He wants to go another direction. We got guys that have played university. It didn't work out for them. Our quarterback has been on university roster, doesn't want to go that track, wants to get into some electrician type work. We got some linebackers playing that are same thing. They want to get into the trade. So like the level of football is amazing. I think the difference would probably be a little bit resources wise. Maybe they don't have as much resources or access to some facilities, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are doing some great things out there. Junior football is a viable option. I think it's going to become more viable as the rosters and the ages and stuff change. And I think it's a great place. And I think basically my biggest message I'm trying to get across right now is just give it a consideration. Just learn about it before you knock it, because a lot of people don't know much about it and it's a viable place to play. So just give yourself a couple minutes to learn about it. If you have a coach contact you, give them the time of day to tell you about their program, and you might end up being there at some point. So don't close any doors. We're pretty proud of what we're doing at London, and you know, we're really excited about what the future holds. We got some great things in line for our program, and we're trying to create a program that's equivalent to a university program for anybody out there. We just want to create something that people can be proud to play. So
awesome.
Power G. What is Power G? It's a gap scheme run, which means the O-line is blocking the backside gap. We think it's kind of a complement as power. It's that same as philosophy. It's the same play for us as power, except two guys are going to change jobs. So that's kind of where the power switch people call it power switch. That's where the power switch comes from. It's power, but two guys are going to switch. We call it Power G because the backside guard is going to be the first puller. He's going to pull across the formation and he's going to kick out the defensive end. And then the fullback or the H-back or your slot is going to be your second puller, and he's going to wrap through to the linebacker. So typical power, fullback's kicking at the end, backside guard's pulling up to the backer. We're just going to switch those two guys. You can use multiple starting formations and backfield actions and create a whole variety of plays. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about is how we use different alignments and motions to create more than one look. Why do I like Power G? The biggest reason I like it is you get similar bodies on bodies. You get a guard blocking a D end and a fullback blocking a linebacker. We like it because it's easier to run to the one tech because you're going to run away from the offensive strengths. Most times we see teams are setting the three tech to the fullback. We like to because we can change the backfield action to create multiple plays. It's different, but it's still powerful. It's deceptive. I think it's one of those plays that you can build an entire offense around. And there's not a lot of plays. Power, you can build an offense around power. You can build an offense around split zone. You could probably build an offense around outside zone. And I think you can build an offense around Power G or power switch. I think it's easier for the fullback to see the linebacker pre-snap than it is a guard down a three-point stand. So that's why we like it. You start to play some of these high-level defenses, they don't stand still. Like it's not we're getting a three tech and a sandbacker behind them. You don't know where these guys are going to be. So sometimes you got to have people up a little bit higher to see the backers' alignments. And you can take this offense and move it into a 5R package and should be pretty seamless transition. So you can run this if you want to be multiple on offense and get a lot of different looks out of it with the same blocking scheme. We like to run this play, like I said about 100 times already. We're a same as offense. So we run this one play many ways. So we'll run a regular power G from what we call strong fullback alignment, where your fullback's beside the quarterback. We're going to run it from a fullback and a wing alignment. We're going to move our fullback out beside the tackle. We're going to run both of the above, but we're going to have counter action in the backfield. So we call that our counter H play. And we have names for it. I'm not going to tell you the names. I think there's some St. Clair guys who might be watching this, but we're going to add jet motion to it to influence linebackers. We're a big jet sweep, jet motion team. And then we're going to run jet motion. We're going to have our tailback leave early to lead on the jet. We're going to run QB counter H. And we're going to do all of the above and add some pre-snap RPOs to take advantage of leverage. And that's kind of a package. That's probably 40% of our run game right there. So this is just a quick diagram. This is just a regular. We're in strong left. We're going power G right. Left guard is going to kick out the end. Fullback's going to take one step away to power just to get the guard a chance to get out front. He's going to fold through to the front side backer. Same exact play. We're just putting him in the wing. So that is the exact same play. We're just changing his alignment. Tell the fullback, doesn't matter where you start, matters where you finish. We can line you up anywhere. It's the same play for you. And a lot of times when we introduce this, we'll say, okay, we're running power G from strong. Now we're going to go to the wing. What do you need to do to make the same play? How does your footwork change? I'll kind of let them coach themselves. They'll say, oh, if I did this, yeah, that's exactly what we want you to do. Perfect. Let's do it. Or you start them in the wing. You move back to here. How do you need to change your footwork to do the same job, but let the guard get out first? Well, I can fake power away for 2 steps. Perfect. Let's do it. So you can kind of let guys figure out the best path for them. And I think it helps them reinforce what the coaching points are. Take those 2 plays. Now we're going to put the fullback out at 3 strong in a 5R offense. He's going to time his motion up, and we're getting the exact same play. So that and that are the same play. We're just taking the fullback and moving him out 7 yards. Same exact play as the first one. We're just going to add a little bit of counter backfield action. So now we get a misdirection play. Same thing, counter backfield action, misdirection play. This looks to the defense like we're running our wide zone play. This looks to the defense like we're running our off-tackle power play. Now we're going to add a jet motion, which is really going to affect the linebackers, especially when you put a fast guy at this orange position and run a couple jet sweeps with him. People start to react to jet motion when you got a good kid running jet sweeps. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to have the tailback leave early because one of the keys that we found is when we run our jet action, if the tailback's stationary, people know that we're probably coming back inside with the ball. So we'll have the tailback leave early to go and kick out the half. We're going to have some linebackers really react to this, and we're going to run QB counter H. If you got a running quarterback, this is the play right here. I made a lot of money running this play. If I was playing quarterback, I wouldn't call this play. Why should you run counter or power G? Do not run this play. It doesn't work. You should just be 5R, run inside zone all day. Keep it easy on us to play defense against you. I'm teasing. It's a great play. You're going to run it because, like I said, it gives you great matchups. You're going to get your guards blocking defensive ends, and you're going to get your fullbacks blocking linebackers. And this is, I think, important because you might not have the big thumper at fullback. People are getting away from having that like I formation, little meatball 5'8" thumper playing fullback. They want the tall, athletic American tight end kid playing fullback. So you get a better matchup personnel-wise. And fullbacks on linebackers is better matchup because linebackers are shifty and sometimes they make your guards miss. It's multiple. You can work a lot of different ways. You can use different guys as a second puller. You can put your big slot as the number 2 puller and run him around too. So you can create different looks with the same type of concept. It's easy to coach if you're running gap scheme offense. You're using the exact same skills as your power play, as your counter tray play. This is a great add-on if you're a split zone team. Western loves this a ton because they're huge split zone. It looks to the defense like split zone. So if you run split zone, you should be running counter H. It's a physical play. It's aggressive. It hits real quick, which I like. The longer I coach football, I think the more effective I find the plays that hit quick are. It gives the defense less time to react. You can build play action off it. If you're not watching Western film, become friends with those guys and watch some of the stuff they're doing in their play action because they have a play action off of every run concept, and it's impossible to play defense against those guys because it looks the exact same. And I think trapping D linemen is always a good idea. It keeps them honest, and people don't practice it a ton. So kind of the transition going away, people are getting away from inside zone stuff. I think people are going back to the gap scheme stuff, and I think defensive ends are having a heck of a time when they're getting tackled away, and all of a sudden they get some big guy coming and kicking them in the ear hole. So trapping ends is a good thing to do.
Yeah, like especially with all the zone read stuff, you know what I mean? Like most times when you're unblocked now, you're expecting to be read in some capacity, especially if you're a C gap player. And
Yeah.
that's something I've found, competing against this play, like coaching on defense against this play, is your defensive end isn't even, they might know, okay, this team's gonna trap me, this team's gonna trap me. But by the time they've taken their eyes off the quarterback and look for the guard, they're in kind of a compromised position. And especially in high school football, like guys get up the field. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a good run team, like, defensive players are trying to be shot out of a can, especially if they think, hey, that fullback's in the wing. Am I going to get doubled here? Is the zone coming to me? Like that, those different alignments, I think, make it really hard, on those defensive ends to defend the trap. Not that it hasn't always been hard, but especially the way what guys are used to now, I think makes it even more difficult.
100%. Everyone's teaching their defensive ends to 50-50 any tackle away and kind of half play that quarterback because you don't want to tear or give a pull, but you don't want to get a cut back underneath. So you're kind of squeezing it slow. And all of a sudden when you're doing that, like I think we did that option talk a while ago. One of the things that I kind of heard once and I was like, that's friggin' amazing is this. If you're hard to read, you're easy to block. So if you're a 50-50 player on the backside of a tackle away, all of a sudden you get a big guard or a fullback coming across and kicking you in the side. That friggin' hurts, man. Like you can't do that 10 times in a row and expect to play the same way if you're playing defense. And you're right. Guys are just flying upfield. It's easy to coach defensive ends to get upfield and keep everything inside. It's easy to trap those guys as well. So it takes advantage of what you're going to see in some typical defensive alignments and how defensive ends are getting coached to play. Coaching the guard, and I won't get too much into it. We'll show you a little bit of film. But basically, we're teaching the guard. You can either skip pull or flat pull depending on what you're already doing. So my suggestion is whatever you're doing with your pulls, use that and don't teach them another thing. We're a skip pull team on power. We're tight. Like we want to be an A-gap power team. So we teach our guards on the kick to skip pull and then open late and turn. And it's just simple. Some people don't like it. I think it's effective for us, but it allows us to not have to teach two different skills. Some teams are going to open a flat pull. Whatever you're doing, do it and just keep it going. And don't teach a lot of new skills because if you teach a skill, you got to drill a skill. And if you drill a skill, that's time you got to take. Biggest thing for the backside guard, the puller, is you got to aim through the frontside tackle's hip, which is going to get you upfield. You can't pull flat. You got to pull up. And the term we always used to use at Western is force it up. So you got to run through the tackle's hip. And if the tackle doesn't move out of his stance, you should basically run physically into his hip. Because I understand that when the tackle steps away, if you're staying flat, there's a lot of air. If the tackle steps away and you're going through his hip, you're going to replace him right away. You can never be tight enough on this pull if you're the backside guard. Stay tight, force it up. Don't allow air. One of the things we'll do in film is we'll stop kind of at the point of contact and we'll show the guards, like, look at all that grass right there. That's where the better defensive end is going to beat you inside. He's faster than you. He's more athletic than you, probably runs more than you. You're a lineman. You're probably not sprinting a ton. You guys are on the couch watching, Netflix documentaries and stuff. So you don't want to give those guys a chance to be more athletic than you. Stay tight. Don't give them air. We always tell the defensive end, especially high-level football, we're coaching the older kids, expect to get wrong-armed and force the kick out. Only log when you have to. Sometimes when they think they're going to get a squeeze and they log it, they come in very passive. It becomes like a position. No, this is a physical block. Expect that he's going to squeeze you, and you have to force the kick out and react late to the log. Get your ass around and log that, and the fullback will follow wide. But you got to expect that this is going to kick. Because if you can kick a squeezer, they might not have a B-gap defender. They might be in some kind of exchange. Maybe the wheel's coming out to the edge, and all of a sudden you get the defensive end who's squeezing to the B trapped. And now you're running for 60 because there's nobody in the B-gap. We talk a lot about leverage. Big term for us is block right, hit right, or block left, hit left. Means if you're kicking out to the left side, you want to kind of position with the left half of your body. You want to have your head in the hole between the defender and where the ball's going to go. That's a huge coaching point for us. That's probably 75% of what we're drilling. When I was coaching fullbacks at Western, we were drilling that every other day. It's just, you can never do enough of that. And just when you think you're good at it, you're going to blow 6 in a game and you're going to go back in the next day and say, we're going to do that kick out drill again. Coaching the H-backs. First thing I talk about is get your eyes and identify the linebacker you're pulling to. We use analogies. The thing is like the zombie. If you're in a zombie movie and a zombie sees you, he will never stop hunting you till something else distracts him. He's just going to have his eyes on you. A zombie doesn't have feelings. He doesn't care about you. He's just going to come and try to eat your brain. So if you're a fullback pulling to the backside guard, get your eyes on the guard and do not take your eyes off him, because as soon as you try to look away to deceive them, now he's working some kind of movement, and all of a sudden you're trying to find him with a bunch of bodies flying around, and you'll pull the wrong guy. So get your eyes on him. I would rather our fullbacks stare at the backer and not miss than try to deceive the linebacker by like looking at different guys and all of a sudden you miss. I don't care if they know what's coming. There's plays we can run to take advantage of it, but we have to know that where we're going to, because it's a key block. As the fullback comes around, we're telling them we want to stay as tight to the double team as possible. I think one of the common terms is light the match. And then, like, if you had a match in your hand, you got to light the match on the butts of those frontside guard and center as they down block in the A gap. Light the match, scrape your arm on their back, whatever term you want to use. And as you approach the linebacker, if the linebacker is outside of you, you're going to kick him out. It's going to be a block left, hit left, or a block right, hit right. The play's going to then stay tight, and the running back's going to go right inside you. If the linebacker jumps inside of you, square him up and run him over. Give the back a two-way go. And never, ever, 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 ever stop in the hole. You just become another big butt for us to run around. So don't stop in the hole. Best case, nobody shows up. Get your eyes inside and score a touchdown with our running back. You might end up blocking the free 30 yards downfield, but don't stop in the hole and look around, because now our running back has to avoid you and the defense. I'm going to show a little bit of film. I got some U17 Mustangs film. I got a little bit of London Beefeaters clips, and then some film from 2021 South Collegiate where I used to coach. Let me all right. So first one up, this is just a regular power play, just kind of for reference. This is London Beefeaters practice film, regular power. You can see the fullback. It's going to kick out the end. Backside guards through. Running back's right here. Super basic. A lot of people are running it. This is now power G left. So we're going to get this, kick, around here. Same exact handoff technique for the running back or the quarterback as power. I'll show it one more time. Here we are. Now we're in a wing. So here's our fullback just outside here. Guard, tackle, fullbacks. We're going to get kick. I use my mouse. Wrap. It's the same play. We're just changing the alignment for the fullback so it looks to the defense like we might be coming with our outside zone play. This situation, fullback's coming through. He's got a linebacker outside of him. He wants to block left, hit left, and kick, and the play is going to cram tight. We're building a nice wall here with the guard and tackle down blocking. You can see we're getting a 40 front, one technique. So we're going to down block the one. We're going to get the tackle to square pull to the mic and build a wall. Center's going to block away and protect this guy. We do have some calls in where if we get a backside three, we can have the center and guard switch, and we will pull the center so that the guard can lock on the three. This is earlier in camp. We hadn't installed that yet. But that's one thing you got to take. One of the things you got to kind of understand is if you're pulling this to a one tech, your center's got to go a long way back to the three. His technique's got to be a little different. You might want to think about, if you're investing in this play, being able to have the center and guard exchange responsibilities. So now your guard can stay locked on the backside and your center can pull. Now the weakness with that is you start to create some open areas in the A gap for them to run through. So in that situation, you got to be able to squeeze a one tech here. A lot of lines on the screen now. If you're going to invest in this, there is some things you can do. There's just like any play, there's pros. Every pro creates another con. There's stuff you got to coach, but it's very diverse. All right, next play. So here's the same play. We're going to go counter H right. We got our fullback out here. Guard's going to pull. Fullback's around. We're going to get counter action in the backfield. That's the exact same play. The only thing we've changed is running back and counter action. We take them for 5 minutes when we put this play in. We have our running back and our quarterback go and do some run match. We teach the counter action. We tell the O-line it's the same play. Nothing changes for you. Don't even worry about it. All this changes. We're going to have fullback and running back counter action. 5 minutes of install. We got 2 plays now. 2 different plays, exact same teaching, 0 difference. We just give it another name. So whatever you call your counter play or your power G play, give your counter play a name that kind of sounds the same or has the same basic theme. You got 2 plays now. Super easy. You've doubled your offense. Okay, here we are, JV Mustangs. We're running power G to the right from strong fullback. So we're going to get this kick through. Pretty simple play. Nice thing about this is you're getting the fullback in space. Our guard would never be able to make this block. Wouldn't happen. The kid we have playing guard wouldn't happen. But our fullback, he gets a piece of it. That's enough at this level to win a game. Power G left. This is against a very good Cumberland Panthers team. Very athletic. You can see the fullback takes those 2 steps away, gets the guard a chance to get out in front. It also starts to sell that we're running a little bit of power action. Guard's got to stay flat. Does a good job right at the end of the block of getting his head inside. You see this defensive ends flying upfield. One of the big things for us when we're game planning is, first question, how do ends play? Do they come upfield? Are they slow playing or do they squeeze? And then if they're very consistent in one of those things, if they're always a squeezing or they're always an upfield team, we got to drill all week our blocks against that type of thing. So that's one of our things our line coach is looking for. What are the defensive ends doing? Make sure you're drilling your blocks against that. Probably be like 75% against what we expect, 25% against what they probably won't do, just so you're sharp at it if they come up with a change.
You really see there, like, that end gets upfield, but I think, especially at the JV level, but really the high school level, like, it's not that he's not doing his job the way most ends would, right? Like, you talked about trying to run it at the one tech. The thing I love about this play is, like, most teams, you're running the ball, especially like you said, if you're like Western does, if you're complementing it with inside zone, most teams are going to try and blitz the linebackers, and blitzing the linebackers is actually the last thing you want to do, with this type of pull action. Like, you see the fullback really tight to the heel line there and pull up and through. Like, if you're running any type of zone read and that end has that in his head at all, this becomes a really hard thing for him to manage, because if he wants to wrong shoulder that puller, it's hard for him to do that while he's in that, like you said, the kind of shuffle or 50-50 mentality. And if he's going to shuffle 50-50, it's really hard for them to go, oh, if there's a puller, I'm going to wrong arm. It's super tough. And then the other thing I love about this clip, is that one of the things that people that I've talked to about this play, that they get hesitant is they're like, oh, the fullback, like if the guard gets blown up and the fullback, gets kind of stuck. And I'm like, well, if your guard gets blown up on any run play, aren't you going to lose? Like,
yeah, no play works if your guard's getting real.
Yeah, like if you get beat, you get beat. But like what I love about here is even at JV level, these are young guys. I know it's a really high level program, really high level league. But your number 2 there does a great job of giving this guard space to make this block and then accelerating. I think one of the big mistakes the fullbacks make is they're so gung-ho to go lay their guy out that they're chasing the guard. It's like, hey, the guard's got to square his guy up too. Like, he can't just sprint sideways, and you got to give him time for that. And I think once you have it, like you kind of mentioned, running it from the slot, that's one of the things that I love. Actually, Coach Galloway at Laurier, who I crossed over with for a couple months there, they seem to do that a lot last year and have the fullback lineup in the slot. And it gives you that advantage of, hey, if you're a 5R offense, but you still want to run these gap scheme principles, right? You get the body you want on in terms of kicking up the D end with the lineman, but you also get that, chance for the fullback to pull through and run the power concept. 100%. But I think being able to do that with the right spacing is critical. I think guys give up on it too soon when they don't get the fullback patient enough and then exploding through later.
100%. Everything you said, it's like music to my ears. A couple of years ago in high school, the kid that plays fullback at Western now, we had him in high school, and this kid's amazing, just athletic as hell. We ran the entire 2-back offense that we had been running from 5R. We're like, we're going to run the exact same offense. We're just going to line you up at different spots, and you're going to have to move in to run your plays. And it was awesome because you get light boxes, and now all of a sudden running power in a 6-man box, primo. That's beautiful.
And especially if you can formation people, like, I don't know, specifics there, but like if you line up in 41, right, and people don't want to give up the one-on-one backside or whatever, well, then all of a sudden, like that fullback or that number 4 to the field, like there's no one that can really come in with him. If it's, I might be jumping the gun here and you're about to show some RPO stuff that's similar to that. But, or the other big one that I've seen is people who run it out of 23, where they'll bring the 3 receiver week who's often not accounted for and then add him back in. It's really interesting. Coach Galloway was the first guy that I saw do that. Like the 5R power switch stuff.
So easy. It's so easy. Like, it's just, if you're doing it, this is kind of my thoughts, and you don't have to agree with, like, it's easy for me to tell a kid, just stand here, run the same play, but stand here now. Yeah. That's easy. That doesn't take any new teaching. It's the same play. Just, I'm going to move you to where you're starting from. How do you get back there? And then a lot of it's just like, let's run it 3 times on air and let him figure it out. The first time he's going to make a mistake. Second time it's going to be better. Third time it's going to be great. Okay, do that. That's how we're going to do it. A lot of times they'll figure it out themselves. And then that's the best way, I think, to teach is let them problem solve. I'm going to go backwards to a coaching point for a sec. Something you had mentioned. One of the big coaching points in a Western, I didn't like discover this. It's something that kind of happened. And I started to think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The higher the level you go, the more you're going to get defensive end that will squeeze a kick out. We saw this at Western a ton. People will just, as soon as you get tackled down, they're autoing. They're bringing the defensive end hard down to the B gap. They're trying to spill everything out. You got to have your fullback on a different level than your guard. If my fullback is right behind my guard and my guard logs, my fullback now has to hump around him to go out wide, right? So in this situation, you see the fullback was on a different level. Now, if the guard logs this defensive end, the fullback doesn't have to change his path to go wide. So that's a big coaching point. They got to be on different tracks. The fullback can't be up the butt of the puller because he's going to have to hump around when you get a squeezer. In this situation, fullback does a pretty good job of staying tight. We want to stay tight to the down block so that we can always kick out anything. It's always easier to kick out than it is squeeze. Now, in this play right here, our fullback does a good job of squaring them up and running through. Our running back now has 2-way go, inside, outside. That's how we want him to play it. We don't want this fullback to dictate to the running back where he's running. We get our running backs because they're really good at running the football. Let's let them run the football. Find another play. I got a bunch more. Hopefully this works. Okay, power G left. This is a great play versus teams at HBO to 31. You'll see a lot of us when we motion over, they HBO. If you and I shouldn't say this, but if you're an HBO team, you're probably going to see a bunch of power G to the boundary from us at some point in that game. Don't listen to me if you're an OFC coach. Okay, that's the same play. This is kids at Western now playing running back. Here's the end zone cut of it. Kick out, nice tight pull. Fullback's a little bit wider than we probably want. He gets good contact in the hole. You see the guard does a good job of kind of redirecting his inside leverage. This is one of the hardest things for the guard is when the end flies almost past him, he's got to stick his foot in the ground, and we call it redirect to the end. You got to get a piece of him because you can't let this defensive end squeeze you and make the play from behind. We see that a lot in the UFC is these defensive ends can run. They'll squeeze around and make a play for a 2-yard gain. So they got to redirect and get a piece of it. Guard comes in and kicks that out, or the fullback comes in and kicks that out. We probably want to run the ball right. I'm going to pause it. We probably want to run the ball right there and score. Now, like, sometimes your ends or your running backs don't do what they're told and they still get you 60. I mean, you still got to coach them, but, like, you're also playing that kid because he's got some natural ability. But in this situation, that's a great kick. We probably want to run the ball right there and score a touchdown. Power G right. So here we are in 5R. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say on that last clip you rolled back. One thing that I've said to guys in the past, and it's so true, like, you know, it's really easy for me, the, you know, retired offensive lineman, to pause the film and be like, hey, buddy, you know, this view of the whole field, how come, you know, your 2 eyes didn't see this? And that's one of those things I think, you know, you're like you said, you're playing that kid at running back because they have some innate ability to get the ball where you ultimately want it. But one coaching point that I found helped guys that were struggling, because in high school, like, normally if you bounce it to the sideline, that's always better. You know what I mean? Like, in high school, when you're playing an opponent that you're better than, if you just get the ball outside, you know, the numbers, you're going to score.
Yep.
But at the higher levels, and what's the transferable skill going forward, I would always tell our guys, be confident attacking the high foot. So, like, when you see a blocker like 34 here, his right foot is the high foot. It's ahead of him. You can speed cut to the high foot. You're never going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Because then if you accelerate, that guy's got, you know, obviously if one foot's ahead of the other, he's got leverage to that side. He's way less likely to lose that block or commit a holding penalty. So I would always tell our guys, if everything's equal and you know, you're always like kind of looking, okay, you know, the running back, if he sees 5 here or not. But if there's if you got a blocker with a high foot, if you can speed cut to the high foot, that's like 99% can be the right decision. Because even if somebody shows up there, you will have speed cut. The guy's not going to be able to arm tackle towards the high foot usually.
100%.
And you've accelerated. So like, even if you make the wrong decision, you're going to be, and I would always tell to our guys like, hey, like, you know, when I was coaching Levandre Gordon Laurier, like, we want you to be an All-Canadian. If you only play 4 games, you're not going to be an All-Canadian. So like, I always want your body in a position where if somebody hits you, you're able to protect yourself. And if you're able to speed cut towards the high foot, even if somebody jumps out, you saw it wrong, you know, maybe somebody else misses a block. And so somebody shows up. If you speed cut towards the high foot, at least the guy that you're currently trying to assess, he's not going to be in a position to take a shot on you that might short your season. You know what I mean? So that was one. It is such a hard thing to drill, though.
When I was at Western, one of the things that I always noticed is like they would gash long runs all the time up the hash. Big runs at high level football happen up the hash.
100%.
You can't outrun good players there. Bam, go right up the hash, score.
Yeah.
You see all the time in NCAA, the C's part up the hash and score. Running up the hash is probably the best place for running back. Get him, and it's just one of those coach ways. Hey, get to the hash, split the defense. Now this play, like you're right, I'm not going to yell at this running back. He's better than I am. I couldn't run this play if I was him. But hey, we're still going to, hey, try to read that kick out, and if you can, cram it in. But if you make this run happen, good on you. I coach you to do that, right? Here we are. We're in 23 to the boundary. This is our fullback. We are formationing him out into a one-back look because we knew we were going to get a light box, and we're going to run the same exact play. No difference. You can see probably a little bit wide. He could probably be a little tighter here. But it's the same basic play. I'll show you the end zone cut. What I like about this is we took a play that we had been repping all year. We watched film. We said, man, we're going to light box if we go 23 or 32. We want to attack the will linebacker because we think that's the kid that we want to run the ball at. And so we ran the same play, and it took us, 5 minutes of play versus air to get our fullback timing. And we had never done it before this week. I don't think we'd ever done it again. We probably should have. But it's very simple to take that kid and say, run the same play. I'm going to line you in a different spot. Now we have another package of offense we can run. We can run our entire 2-back offense from 1-back looks. No new teaching. Now we're going to run some counter. So same play with some counter backfield action, just to throw the defense around. If you're running a lot of off tackles, sometimes just give them a different look. So you see, same exact play. We're just changing the backfield action. We're trying to make it look like we're running wide zone here. We're probably a little bit overselling the counter action of the backfield, but you're still getting that 1 or 2 steps that the linebackers gives you another look. And again, 5 minutes, you can teach this backfield action in like day 5 of camp. Now you got 2 plays to run all year. Wing right now. So we're in wing right. We're going to run counter left. So now it looks to the defense like we're running wide zone. We're a big wide zone team. And this is going to start to look like wide zone. This is at the high school level. I'll see if you can get that linebacker. Just watch these little linebackers take that little false step, right? You see the guy on the bottom of the screen just show up right there. Right there. That's enough for us to get where we want. Same play for the offense. No new teaching. That's what we like about it. No new teaching. You double your plays with minimal impact. Here we are at the junior level. This is 2 weeks ago against Quinty. Now we're going to throw a jet action in. We got a pretty talented player running our jet sweeps. All of a sudden you start jet motioning. Now you're really putting defensive players in conflict. Especially because we had run a jet sweep like 8 plays earlier that I think hit him for 25. So this is no counter action. It's just jet action. And we're running power G to the top of the screen, power G left. Same exact play. Jet action, power G left. When we call this play in practice, you'll hear me telling the X, like our slot receiver, we call him our X. A lot of people call it a W. We'll be like, okay, win an Oscar right now. Go win your Oscar. Sell me a touchdown. Make me think you're running jet sweep for touchdowns. So we kind of grade them on it. We have a little competition where if they get good fakes, they might win chocolate bars and stuff. Watch the defensive reaction from the Mike on the hash. He's just taking a false step. We're getting a nice look there. Good kick out from the fullback coming through. Pretty simple little play. No new teaching for us. We run jet sweep. We run the counter. We run the G play. We're just putting them together. Another one. This is U16. Fake jet, power G right. I think it's power G left. Kick out, kick out. For the fullback right now, no difference for him on kicking out second level linebacker than power. It's the exact same technique for him. He's already drilling this all the time. So it's the same exact technique. Power kick out right there. That's the exact same block as if we're running power for the fullback. And we're going to run the hash for a big one. Look at that running back right up the hash, right where we talked about a couple minutes ago. Big plays happen on the hashes. We're getting good action fake from our slot. The slot wasn't our best player, but he was real good at faking because he knew if he didn't fake, he wasn't going to play. So he got real good at faking that jet sweep. Look at the defensive reaction from this guy. He thinks he's got the ball. These linebackers think they got the ball too. We're building a package of plays. We haven't shot anything new. Here's another one, junior level. I got a couple more, then we'll be done. Watch the linebacker reaction. Watch these two backers here. Here. They're out of the play. They just ran right by. This guy's all the way to the inside of the hash now. Look where he starts. He's on the hash. He's 2 yards inside the hash now.
I think especially too, like when the defense is trying to read the pullers, even that like light action behind, like even if they don't go the wrong way in terms of like a counter, like even if it's not, they took 3 steps one direction, just that like subtle, movement in front of their face that makes them, take their eye off the pulling guard, pulling center, whoever it is, like that, especially at the high school level, that can be enough to just totally get them in a position where they can't get to their job anymore.
100%. When you have like a booth guy, sometimes the hardest thing about being a booth guy is like, what do you tell the other guy? Like, what do you tell the play caller? I don't want people telling me what plays to call when I'm calling plays. Like, I can barely think, but I want information. So we had a great booth guy. And one of the things we always say is like, when we run jet sweeps or fake jets, I want to know, is it a hard, like, are they hard reacting? Are they soft reacting? Or is there no reacting? And if you get like a soft reacting team to your jet actions, run jet sweep. If you get hard reaction, come back and run your counters, right? Like you start to get information. Who moves the most? If the Will moves the most, we're going to run counter away. If the Sam moves the most, run power underneath it. But you can start to tell that guy, like, this is what I need you to tell me when we run this play. And now he knows, okay, here's what I'm looking for. So you're building systems, right? Absolutely, though. You're never going to get a linebacker that just turns and runs. Like if that guy does that, run the ball at that guy the entire game. He probably isn't as strong of a player. But if you can get them to just take 1 or 2 steps, it's just enough to maybe get an angle. Maybe it just keeps your front side deuce a little bit longer so you can get the tackle up to the mic or something. Jet action. You're going to see the tailback leave early, and we're going to run Q, counter H left. This is the play. Because watch the defense.
I should have told you I didn't want this in the presentation because I don't want to defend it. This is on my like list of plays where I'm like, yeah, the X's and O's are brutal. Now you got to survive the people hitting your quarterback, but schematically, this is an absolute nightmare from a gap standpoint.
You don't got to run this 10 times a game. You know when I love this play? Exact situation. 20-yard line, get me to the 5 so I can punch it in. People are probably playing man. You're probably getting some kind of pressure in this situation, right? You're probably getting man. Guys are going to track the backs out. And I love jet sweep inside the red zone too. Here's a real good one. This kid's playing at Western now, the quarterback. He's now a safety at Western, super athletic. I'll show you a good end zone cut. Now, okay, put yourself in a linebacker. You're a 15-year-old linebacker, 16-year-old linebacker, and you play, I don't know, slot or guard for your high school team. So you're not practicing linebacker all day. You don't have any idea where the ball's going. You just see a really fast kid that's run jet sweeps like 5 times already. Bam. Like, think about it when you're coaching. Think about, you're not tricking the other. I'm not tricking you. I'm tricking the 16-year-old kid that played Fortnite all night last night, right? I'm tricking this guy that might have gotten in a fight with his girlfriend 2 periods before practice. He failed a math test. He's got to work at McDonald's at 7 o'clock. And I just need this guy to think this jet is coming and take 2 steps here so I can down block him. You're not tricking the 35, 40-year-old coach. I'm tricking the 16-year-old kid. Hopefully that doesn't sound aggressive, but like, that's the reality.
Well, it's all players, not plays, right? Like, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we can all watch the film and fix it, but what can you actually get done in real life? And yeah, the quarterback run game stuff, like, if you're looking for an equalizer and you're a high school team that's like, hey, our best athlete plays quarterback, again, you can't just go run quarterback ISO 36 times, but there's some stuff you can do to steal some plays that makes life pretty tough on defense.
Okay, I'm going to go back for a sec. Everything you just said is 1,000,000% what I believe. But here's the thing. I'm going to back it up. For this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, 0 new teaching.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that matter. We know that. Those are the guys that matter, especially in high school when that guy's playing here and that guy's playing here as well, and that guy's playing here. Your defense coordinator wants to have a bunch of pressures in as well. Like, he wants to coach his side of the ball too. It's not like your defense coordinator is like, yeah, run offense. We'll just line up into 43 and go to the ball. Like, make it easy for those guys. 0 new teaching, all just window dressing and smoke. And we're getting a whole bunch of plays, but the exact same play. And we're drilling this 20 times in practice twice a week. That's what I like about it. All right, if you're going to run this stuff, just be ready for this type of stuff. Every once in a while, you're going to get a mistake. We're misaligned here. We're going to have the fullback and the guard run into each other. It happens. That's not a design. Communication's key. They got to know which side the play is going. We probably miscalled the formation and should be in the fullback to the other side. All right, here's a little drill. This is super easy drill. There's nothing special about this drill. We're just working kickouts from the guards. Nothing special about this drill. We're just getting them back upfield, working block right, hit right mentality. He's got his head in the hole. We should be running the ball right here. Got his head in the hole. He's working his big flipper. Whatever technique you want to use, big flipper, throw your hands through. That's your decision. But the big thing is got to have your head in the hole. Super easy drill. Nothing special about this, but we're getting the work we need to get done. Main coaching point is get them back over the line. That's why they're doing it on a line that you have a reference. Get them over the line, block right, head in the hole. Same drill. I think I messed it up. Oh, maybe we'll get one more. Upfield, head in the hole. That's it.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Thanks again for doing that, Matt. I know it's one of the plays that I had never seen it before. We ran at Laurier a little bit when we started. We were running almost all zone and all 5R, and then when Coach Falls got there, we started to do a little bit more with the fullback. So it was one of those things that we really took to because, we had run previously power and GT counter. Yep. Now, if you watched any OSFL football this summer, GT counter made a big time comeback and reared its head. As a play that gave a lot of teams problems, including mine.
GT counter is a great GT counter would be the next progression off of this. I think is okay. Now we're going to run the exact same play as that. We're just going to have the tackle take over the fullback spot and
for sure
put a play action off it. And now you got an offense. You can run that. That's your offense right there. Formationalize it. Find the weakest guys. Attack them.
Yeah. No, it's great stuff. And the ability again, if you don't have that traditional high school fullback. And you don't want your fullback to block the end, which can happen all the time, right? Like a lot of times, like defensive ends in high school are like some of the best players. Yeah. And usually your fullback, he might be a good player, but it's pretty rare. I mean, I know in London with the influence of Western and two-back, there's more fullbacks. It's a fullback town. But, I've coached a lot of high school teams where all of our receivers are the same size.
Yeah.
Right? They're all point guard, shooting guard in the basketball team.
Yep.
And we don't have enough linebackers to take the linebacker type kid playing at fullback or, you have 2 good running backs, but neither of them are real blockers. if you can get one guy that's at least tough enough and you can scheme it up and say, hey, like, this is a linebacker that one of these receivers can block.
Yep.
Right. Or, against this team, we think we can do it, from 5R or whatever it is. Like it gives you those matchups that I think a lot of gap scheme stuff is harder if you don't have those bodies. But I think power switch or power G, or I've even heard some people call it counter F.
Right?
Yeah. That lets you do it. So thanks again, Coach. A great presentation. If you guys have any questions, for Coach Snyder, whether it's about Beefeaters or about this concept or whatever, as a guy that, knows this firsthand, I just reached out over social media one day. We started talking. So make sure you send your questions to Coach, and his stuff there is in the first slide of that presentation. So thanks again, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you. If you're looking to play junior football, contact me. I want to talk to you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.